Namaskaram. Welcome to Shuddhi Fund. My name is Raghavendra Yarasi. If you've been following our channel and us as an organization, you'll know that to revolutionize our approach to education is a huge item on our agenda. But of course, before we actually have a shot at revolutionizing or even bringing changes to something, we must have a lucid understanding of what it is that we're trying to change and what is actually flawed about it. So today I'm going to be offering some personal insights into what's wrong with our approach to education. Of course, this will be my personal take on it, and I encourage anyone to offer your views down below in the comment section. And please feel free to challenge me or question what I'm saying here, because at the end of the day, I'm looking for a discussion that can enrich our understanding of what's going on so that we are better equipped at bringing the necessary changes. Before we understand what's wrong with our education today, we must go back and trace the origins of the current reality. We know that the way the education structure is designed has its roots in the colonial British establishment in this country. What it is today is just the product of iterative refinements over the initial foundation laid by those who designed it. Since our independence, we have not actually brought any fundamental changes to the way things work. We've only performed some minor changes and some cosmetic changes to help it survive the several decades of changes in the cultural and socio-economic landscape of this country. And even after several decades of independence, the initial purpose of establishing this education setup remains the same. And what is this initial purpose of establishing this structure in the first place? The initial purpose was quite simple: to generate a mass of human resources trained in the English language who could help the British rulers rule the native land. They would be equipped with skills that would be useful in executing economically relevant activity of the times. So the whole point of this education system was to train people who would be effective at executing the interests of the British rulers. The whole thing was designed to generate a significant number of usefully skilled slaves who will quietly and obediently carry out someone else's vision and serve someone else's interests. And to this day, this machinery that was initially designed to generate skilled slaves still survives. As I've said just before, it has undergone some minor changes here and there to ensure that it survives, but its effective purpose remains largely unchanged, which is to convert human beings into tools that could effectively execute someone else's vision. I say this not as a historian who has studied the decades-long transformation of this enterprise or someone who has researched the initial days of its establishment. I'm not an expert historian. I cannot even confidently assert the truth of this narrative that I'm sharing. But as someone who grew up within this machinery, I can tell you that the truth of this whole thing is that it is designed to raise obedient and skilled slaves. This was never about educating the children or empowering them. This whole thing has always been about converting them into something that is useful for the economic machinery. And even before I was old enough to articulate its flaws, I knew that there was something fundamentally wrong with the way education was happening. I knew that it was either purposefully flawed or it was this way because of the sheer incompetence of those who designed it. The historical narrative on why it is this way is just a story. And it's not a story that I can confirm with my personal experience, but it does make sense given how things are in this moment. So in my mind, this historical narrative of how things were set up actually makes sense given the state of current reality. So when the British left in 1947, they left behind a land of hungry masses who were keener on their prospects of the next meal than they were at the final points of education or how it happened. Slowly, as people gathered onto their feet, education became the safest ladder, both out of poverty and towards social respect. For an overwhelming majority of society across several generations of the post-independence era, and even today, education is just that, an economic ladder. What makes it appealing is that it offers the promise of an ethical road to economic opportunities and social status, which are basically what most families were looking for. They were looking for respect and economic freedom. Even today, for a typical Indian family, their relationship with education is about enabling their child with a good life, a good future. And a good life and a good future happens through money and social recognition, which can also be seen as prestige and market value. And prestige and market value are so prominent in our social consciousness that even our media, catering to our audience, makes a parade out of all these alumni who graduate out of premium institutions and land attractive jobs with attractive benefits. And even our universities make it a priority to boast about the number of students who've been placed in these many companies or the number of students who've earned really high-paying jobs. And sure, it's nothing wrong to boast about these things. It does say something about the quality of education offered. But in the public consciousness, there is never a conversation about how good these universities are because of how good their research is, or how many breakthroughs they've had in frontier sciences happening in their labs, or the number of seminal studies that their scholars have published, or what kind of industry leaders are within their faculty who can guide the students into being at the frontier of whichever field they're in. These are never the topics of discussion when it comes to the quality of a university. It's always about the money that the students gain, or what kind of performance scores were obtained, or how big their paychecks were, or what kind of a social status their alumni have. These are the things that make up for the mainstream conversation about the quality of education in an institution. So what is wrong with all this? As we've seen, much of the mainstream discussion around education happens through the lens of what is socially relevant or what is economically relevant. It is about empowering the future of a child in the society, or about empowering the economy with qualified personnel who can shape its future. Now let's take a step back and look at the broader perspective. We are born into this cosmos, this potentially infinite cosmos. We open our eyes for the first time with no memory of what came before, and no understanding of what we are seeing, and no imagination of what comes later. But slowly as we grow up, we gain these faculties, and we slowly progress in our perception and our ability to act in this world each passing day. We see things, we do things, and eventually we go back to the ground. The point I'm trying to make is that the life that we have in this potentially infinite universe is very, very brief. And what can be done in this infinite cosmos is infinite. The possibilities are tremendous. We just don't have the time for it. So when this is the case, we must do everything we can to ensure that our time here is spent wisely and efficiently, and more importantly towards a worthy purpose. And I want to stress on this factor of having a worthy purpose, because that is essentially what is wrong with our current educational machinery. Its purpose of converting human beings into an economic resource in return for an opportunity at glorified survival. It is not about enabling this innately human longing to pursue the exploration of the unknown. It is not about the desire to build something profound for the whole of mankind. It is not towards enabling individuals to reach their fullest potential. Instead, it is simply about making them qualified for economic consumption. It basically equates empowerment of individuals to offering them the opportunity to be consumed by the society and by the economy. It's basically saying that we are empowering you by making you an attractive slave. And it equates success to comfortable survival in the society. In effect, education, the way it happens today, is short-sighted. It's narrow-minded and more of a restraint than a catalyst in the natural human longing to seek that which is beyond survival. And this, in essence, is what is wrong. Over the past several decades, we've witnessed a massive paradigm shift in how the world operates. We've arrived at a point where we can no longer afford to build on top of what was laid down several decades ago. It is no longer relevant, and also there's a huge gap between what we need today and what these archaic structures are able to deliver for us. So we must fundamentally re-envision the foundation of our educational process so that it becomes relevant and it becomes a stepping stone for something much more profound. I personally want to see a new structure, a new approach to education that has a forward vision in terms of what its purpose is. And we are in fact at a great advantage to be able to perform a complete overhaul of existing structures at this time. We can utilize the recent developments we've seen in technology and the dramatic shifts in both personal lifestyles and global dynamics over the past several decades to reimagine an educational foundation that will last several decades to come in furthering a more profound and a more relevant purpose for education. If we could do this right, we can even lead the rest of the world to a better approach to education. And I personally believe that we as a nation have a tremendous amount of potential to create a breakthrough that can offer applicable outputs that can be followed throughout the world. Now, everything that I've said so far is just a conversation starter. I want us to be able to have a meaningful discussion about this and enrich our understanding so that we can do much better together. So please leave your comments down below in the YouTube comment section, sharing your views, your perspective, and whatever feedback you may have. And I would also appreciate if you could show us some support by liking and sharing this video and also subscribing to our channel so that you'll be updated on future videos that we may share. Thanks for watching.